You won't believe what's been terrorizing this quiet New York neighborhood. It's not a criminal, it's not a stray dog. It's something much smaller, but deadlier. Innocent people jumped, bitten, and left bleeding in broad daylight by a rogue rodent. It ran up my leg, and the next thing I knew, there was blood everywhere. I couldn't shake it off. Was it a disease? Or was it something much more sinister? This isn't your average squirrel story. This is a savage tale of survival, terror, and a neighborhood in fear. Stay tuned, because this is one story you won't forget. When you think of New York City, you think of towering skyscrapers, bustling streets, and a concrete jungle. But sometimes, the jungle comes alive in ways you'd never expect. In late 2020, a quiet New York neighborhood became ground zero for a wild, vicious spree of animal attacks that no one saw coming, and no one was prepared for. This isn't just an urban legend, it's real. Welcome to the savage story of Rego Park's rogue squirrel, a wild encounter you won't soon forget. Welcome back, wild adventurers, to another episode of Savage Tales, Animal Encounters. Here, we dive deep into the untamed world of the animal kingdom, where the line between human and wild gets blurred. From vicious attacks to unbelievable survival stories, we bring you real-life encounters that will leave you on the edge of your seat. Today we've got a story that's almost too wild to believe. A neighborhood in fear, unsuspecting residents fighting for their lives against a savage squirrel. That's right, in Rego Park, Queens, New Yorkers were terrorized by a rogue rodent jumping from trees, biting and sending people to the hospital. Stay tuned, because this is one encounter you definitely don't want to miss. But before we jump into the chaos of these shocking squirrel attacks, we've got a quick favor to ask. If you're into wild animal stories that keep you on the edge of your seat, whether it's fearsome predators, unlikely animal heroes, or bizarre urban encounters, then you're in the right place. First things first, hit that like button if you're excited to see this crazy tale unfold. Go ahead, smash that thumbs up. It helps more people find these savage stories. Got friends who love hearing about insane animal encounters? Share, because trust me, everyone's going to be talking about this one. And of course, we want to hear from you. Have you ever had a wild animal encounter in your own neighborhood? Or maybe you've got a theory about why this squirrel went rogue? Drop your thoughts down in the comments. I'll be reading and responding to as many as I can. But here's the real deal. You don't want to miss what's coming next on Savage Tales. We've got stories lined up that'll blow your mind, from massive shark encounters to deadly desert creatures. So if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to ring that notifications bell. That way, you'll be the first to know every time we drop a new video. Trust me, you won't want to miss a single wild episode. So buckle up, because we're diving deep into the wild world of animal encounters that you won't find anywhere else. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and make sure you're ready for what's next. Because things are about to get savage. Remember, out here in the wild, anything can happen. Stay curious, stay cautious, and we'll see you next time on Savage Tales, Animal Encounters. For years, squirrels in Rego Park, a suburban neighborhood in Queens, New York, were regarded as typical urban wildlife. Like many parts of the city, Rego Park's leafy streets and public parks provided an ideal habitat for the bushy-tailed rodents. Squirrels in New York are known for their bold behavior, often approaching people for food or scurrying through the parks and tree-lined blocks. To locals, they were simply part of everyday life, a bit of nature in the city. For many residents, seeing squirrels darting between trees or scavenging for food was a familiar and harmless sight. However, in late 2020, that peaceful coexistence took a dramatic turn, culminating in a series of bizarre and aggressive squirrel attacks that shocked the community. The first signs of trouble appeared in November 2020, when residents began noticing a shift in the squirrels' behavior. At first, it seemed like the usual urban squirrel antics. They were getting bolder, approaching people without hesitation, perhaps drawn by the food that some passers-by offered. But as the days went by, things took a more alarming turn. Rather than simply begging for food, squirrels in the area started lunging at people without warning. By mid-December, the situation had escalated into full-blown attacks. Several residents reported being ambushed by squirrels while walking on the streets or in their front yards. One of the most infamous incidents involved local resident Micheline Frederick, who was brutally attacked on December 21st, 2020. As she stood outside her home, a squirrel suddenly ran up her leg and launched into a violent assault. What started as a small animal encounter quickly turned into a cage match, as Frederick later described it, with the squirrel biting and scratching her hands, arms and neck. Despite her best efforts, she couldn't shake the determined rodent, and her little finger was severely gnawed. The attack left her bloodied and in shock, eventually requiring a visit to the emergency room and a series of rabies shots as a precaution. But Micheline Frederick wasn't alone. In the days and weeks that followed, more and more residents of Rego Park reported similar encounters. A total of at least 5 people fell victim to the rogue squirrel, or squirrels, sparking fear throughout the neighborhood. Residents recounted terrifying moments when squirrels leapt at them from trees or chased them down the street, leaving them defenseless against the relentless attacks. Families began carrying homemade pepper spray and other items to fend off the increasingly aggressive rodents. What made these attacks even more unsettling was their unpredictability. Unlike typical animal attacks, which are often provoked or triggered by a clear cause, these squirrel assaults seemed to happen at random, often targeting people who were simply walking or standing outside their homes. As news of the attacks spread, the community's response was swift and intense. The once adorable image of squirrels was shattered, replaced by fear and frustration. The idea of a rogue squirrel terrorizing a neighborhood felt almost surreal to many, more like something from a horror movie than a real-life event. Neighbors began taking precautions, with some refusing to leave their homes without some form of protection. Parents were especially concerned for their children, fearful that they could be attacked while playing outside. Reports of the attacks prompted locals to arm themselves with shovels, heavy gloves and makeshift weapons, bracing for another potential ambush by the crazed critters. Many residents contacted city authorities, hoping for a swift resolution. However, the response from officials wasn't what they expected. The New York City Department of Health acknowledged the complaints but informed residents that squirrels and other small rodents rarely contract rabies, which meant there was little immediate concern of disease. The department suggested that the homeowners hire a licensed trapper to capture the rogue squirrels. Yet, despite attempts to trap the animals, the squirrel responsible for the attacks remained at large for weeks, continuing to spread fear throughout the neighborhood. The lack of an immediate solution frustrated residents, many of whom took to social media and local news outlets to express their concerns. The squirrel attacks became a viral sensation, with local news stations and publications running stories about the bizarre reign of terror. Some locals, in a mix of humor and exasperation, began referring to the rogue squirrel as the savage squirrel of Rego Park, comparing its erratic and violent behavior to a small but fearsome predator. Experts began weighing in on what might have caused the squirrels to become so aggressive. One theory suggested that the squirrels had become unusually bold due to overfeeding by humans, leading them to associate people with food. Another possibility was that the squirrels involved were suffering from a neurological disorder, potentially caused by illness or injury, which could explain their erratic and violent behavior. However, no conclusive explanation was found, leaving the true cause of the attacks a mystery. The squirrel attacks in Rego Park left a lasting mark on the neighborhood. What started as a few isolated incidents quickly escalated into a series of savage encounters that shook the local community. For the residents of Rego Park, these aggressive squirrels were a stark reminder that even in the heart of one of the world's busiest cities, the wild can sometimes break through in the most unexpected and terrifying ways. Wow! What an incredible and truly wild experience we've just uncovered. From playful urban companions to relentless, unexpected attackers, these squirrels sure gave the people of Rego Park a reason to keep their eyes on the trees. If you enjoyed this wild ride and want to hear more real-life animal encounters, make sure you hit that like button down below. It really helps the channel grow and allows us to continue bringing you more thrilling tales from the animal kingdom. Don't forget to share this video with your friends and family, especially those who live in squirrel-filled neighborhoods. You never know, they might just learn something new. Also, we'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell us, have you ever had a crazy animal encounter? What would you do if a rogue squirrel went after you? Let's start the conversation in the comments. And who knows, your story might be featured in a future episode. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe to Savage Tales Animal Encounters and hit that notification bell so you never miss a wild story. Trust me, we've got some jaw-dropping encounters coming your way, and you won't want to miss a second of it. Thanks so much for watching. We truly appreciate your support. Stay safe out there, and remember, whether you're in the city or the wild, animals are always watching. Until next time, this has been Savage Tales, Animal Encounters, where the wild comes to life.